Welcome to the inUpowers podcast, where we give a name and a face to emotion. We discuss the real and raw when it comes to mental and emotional health. We are here to teach you that emotions are information and behavior is a choice. We want to help you make safer connections through healthy communication by empowering you to understand what your emotions are telling you. I'm your host, Tami. Let's get started. Welcome to the inUpowers podcast. I'm Tami, and this is actually the last time it's just me. We will start introducing guests and have you get to know the characters, and that's how we're going to move forward with this. But now you know the history of beautifulness and the inUpowers and how this program is actually meant to be. And today I'm going to talk to you about my very first two characters, which is U-BE and WAM. So U-BE was born when I learned the word beautifulness, and then just right when I got home and showed my husband U-BE, I drew WAM because I knew WAM right away, because WAM is what about me. In fact, for our Moments Minute, I would like you to think of a time you thought, what about me? Like, what about me? What about me? That's an emotion a lot of us have. It's because we need attention. We need to be seen. And we don't know necessarily why we need to be seen or anything else. We just know that we feel forgotten or left out or not paid attention to. The character's a lot more involved in that. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But when have you had a moment when you need to be seen and heard? Think about that through this podcast so that we can continue to go back to it and explain some things. Along with that, as we get going forward, I'm going to introduce you, when it's just me in the podcast, to the characters and a little meaning behind them, some of their stories, how I got them. In fact, I'm going to introduce them to you as I was inspired by them and I started creating the character. Because I'm doing it like that, you're going to hear U-BE with WAM and Et with B and some characters, and you're going to think, oh, if I'm having this moment, I'm going to need this character to fix it. No. You're going to need whatever you need. So all of the characters represent every emotion that's in you. That's why they're called the inUpowers, because they're always in you. And emotions aren't good or bad. They're information. So knowing that emotions aren't good or bad, they're information, and knowing that behavior can be good or bad, depending on which behavior you choose, these emotions or these characters represent emotions so that you can actually understand what they're saying. So our reactives or our storms are, or we also call them in the ways, are warnings. When you're having a what about me moment, it's a warning. And all of our proactives, we call them U-Powers, are body organs, something we all possess. And each one of them teach principle-based lessons about something you can do something with, because the principles are truths to the whole human family. So as you're listening to this podcast and we're diving into emotions and a little bit more about you, please remember never to label yourself or any one of the characters, saying you're a WAM. No one's a WAM. They might have a WAM moment, but no one's WAM. And as you learn more of the characters, you'll be able to start recognizing your emotions and actually choosing your behavior. So let's start with WAM. What about me? He is a hollow green tornado full of blame and shame, and he's got vampire teeth that suck your energy dry. And because he's hollow, he's always trying to fill his void. And sometimes we do the same thing. We have these what about me, lonely, feeling abandoned or frustrated moments, and instead of feeling that way, we try to fill our void. We fill it with addictive substances such as gaming or work or alcohol or drugs or anything to numb us from actually feeling forgotten or left out. We also can excuse and blame and shame everything away. Well, I'm like this because you did that, or you made me mad, or it's your fault. That's a WAM moment, a what about me moment, when your emotions are not yours. They're somebody else's to put blame and shame to. The thing is you are the only one in control of you. And you're the only one that does with your emotions what you choose to do with them. And if you are thinking that the world is picking on you and you're looking at the world like it owes you something because you exist, it's a very selfish look. And that selfishness and that I'm entitled to or I deserve feelings are very loud. In fact, you can see it in teenagers naturally, because that is an age where they're trying to figure themselves out and they want what their friends want and their friends are more important than family. Just that's just natural. That's I'm not trying to give permission. I'm just saying that that's a moment to be that way. However, if you stay stuck that the world owes you something you didn't deserve or earn, then you're stuck. You can get stuck in a what about me moment. And I don't know if you've seen the aftermath of a tornado on the news or you live in a country where there's tornadoes. It's destructive. It's not as destructive as, say, a tsunami, but the houses and the trees and the grass and the vehicles and all the other things that are in its wake are destroyed. When your need for attention and when your excuses and you're numbing yourself is everybody else's fault but your own, because they did this to you or they did that to you. So I have permission to now destroy myself or destroy others like a tornado. Your what about me moment can be quite destructive. And not just to yourself, but to those around you. And if you're stuck in that energy sucking, what about me? What about me? What about me? Give me attention. I deserve this. I deserve that. And never being full, you're going to burn out friendships and family members. And you're going to think, I deserve this. I'm entitled to this. I don't want to be this person. I don't feel this way. This isn't my fault. You did this to me. You did that to me. It will destroy you. You will never feel whole outside in. Having people give you things and make your life easy will never fill you. Never. It feels great to go on vacation and relax and be served, but it gets exhausting when nothing is expected of you. You have a purpose, and the purpose isn't to take, it's to give. And if you want a life that's amazing and feels good, quit going outside in and start giving inside out. See, Wham, the character What About Me, is trying to fill his void outside in, taking, sucking, destroying, numbing. And all it's doing is leaving destruction in his wake, like a tornado. But when you give from what you have to offer, and a smile is a small gift, but it can literally change a life. I've heard it, I've seen it, I've watched it. A smile, a hello, let me help you with that. That gives you purpose. That gives you a reason to add to the world. Taking from the world will never fill you. Giving to the world will make you bigger than you've ever been, which is U-BE. Unique, brilliant energy. At first, when I drew him, he was BU to fullness, which is the first few episodes, which I kind of explained how that all became to be, which is basically a whole person trying their hardest and loving life the best that they know how and continuing to try. And for a long time, his name was Beautifulness, and he was just going to be the mascot. But then as other characters started coming to me, I realized he needed an acronym too. And it was really hard to come up with an acronym that didn't have love. I know unique, but the other two was pretty hard. And I had existence for a long time because I learned that the value of being alive and existing mattered. However, energy felt more right. Because, see, your heart fuels you. It never gives up on you. In fact, if your heart, while you're wherever you are, getting ready, driving the car or something, if your heart skips a beat, you know it. You absolutely know it. And you're going to try to get that fixed. But you hardly ever give it credit for fueling you and giving you life as you're driving and going throughout your day. In fact, I bet you barely think about it unless it is broken or somebody you love has a broken heart. And in our studies, we also have learned with our counselors and teachers and therapists that before the age of 8 and with our beta testing, the kids loved U-BE. In fact, love is amazing. They're like, yep, U-BE, 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 because love isn't convoluted. But as soon as they turn around 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, U-BE's not their favorite anymore because they start understanding different concepts. And those concepts make U-BE a little scary because he's love. And so they like other characters. However, U-BE is unique, brilliant energy. You are brilliantly made to be great. And you are enough because you exist. And your existence adds value to other people's lives. You don't have to constantly be serving someone to have value. In fact, and I hope this comes out right. I have a friend whose daughter was born very, 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 very ill. And she never matured more than 8 months old, even though she turned 11. And so she was just a ball of smiles and love. And she was so cute. She knew if her hair wasn't done because her mom did hair. And her mom knew if she was happy or sad or if she was uncomfortable or if she was sick because her mom served her. But this daughter, who could never say, I love you, because she couldn't talk, and would never walk or give her mom a real hug, gave her more hugs and more I love yous, and more smiles and more purpose, simply because she loved her and she smiled. When you're having a what about me moment, you're not thinking of anyone but yourself. And you're trying to fill your void with whatever it takes to not feel that way anymore. However, when you are using your life and your gift of a life to share love, acceptance, and gratitude, it's felt. We feel each other's energy. Our emotions aren't hidden. As a human family, you can tell if the room has been talking about you. In fact, there was, in our beautifulness classes, is how all these characters existed. We have a scenario we do with everybody so that we can teach them what our thoughts are and the way we feel directly impacts those we touch. And we will have the person that is the experiment basically step out of the room, and we will tell the entire room of stylists to start thinking negatively about that person. And if they couldn't think negatively about that person, they just had to think negatively, period. Just thinking a horrible thought, negativity, sadness, just some destructive thought. And then we would invite the stylist back into the room, and we would have them hold up their arm. And while they were holding up their arm, we would tell them to resist. And I would work my hardest to push the arm down, and it would just collapse. It was like they had no strength. And every time they looked at me like, what is going on? Like, I'm stronger than that. And of course they are, but it's an experiment, right? So we take them back outside and we tell the classroom to start thinking positive thoughts. Think of one thing that you like about them, or one thing you like about the world, or just something to lift someone. And we invite them back into the room, and we have them put their arm back up again. And when they put their arm up and I go to push it down, they could basically carry me. And it doesn't matter what their strength is. And their faces are shocked, and they sit down. And I ask one of the class members to say, so what happened? What changed? And they explained the first time they went out of the room, we thought negative thoughts, and their energy went away. And when we came back in the second time, we told them we were thinking positive thoughts, and their energy had strength. Your thoughts and the way you feel about other people can change their power. Our emotions and our thoughts about others are so much more information than we've been giving them credit for. And knowing that you are having a what about me moment because you're feeling forgotten, or that you're owed something or anything, can you feel the negativity about that, the energy sucking? Do you know someone that every time they come into the room, you're like, oh my goodness, they're going to drain me of their energy because everything's traumatic. They have the worst life. They have the worst day. It's the worst everything. And you're just like, oh, because they're just going to suck you dry. They're having what about me emotions. And you're feeling it. But if you also walked into a room where you felt gratitude and love and powerful and acceptance, that's a U-BE moment. That's positive emotions. And that's when we actually can change the world and do good. When there is momentum and power and a belief in you, that goes so far. My friend's daughter, who could never speak or walk, could give so much power to her mom because she loved her and believed in her. Her emotions helped. That's why we built the inUpowers program. That's why I got from standing behind the chair and grabbing the most amazing team of counselors and teachers and curriculum designers and graphic design artists and all the things it took to create this for us so that we had a name and a face to emotion, but we actually understood what emotions were telling us. Emotions are not good or bad. Our behavior can be. Now, if I'm exhibiting what about me behavior and I am taking as much as I can and blaming you for my bad attitude, then yeah, my behavior is terrible. But if my behavior is full of love and power, then once again, I can build you, just like that experiment I would do with my stylist. This inUpowers program came from beautifulness and the lessons we taught, and is evolved into so much more because a name and a face to emotion can help you understand what your emotions are telling you. Are they warning you, or are they creating a more confident you? By knowing your emotions and understanding them, the more power you have to change the world. We are brilliant. We are unique. We're different. We come from different cultures, different walks of life, different talents, and we need all of us. When you believe in you, the world will believe in you. When you recognize that something's amiss or your emotions are negative or your thoughts are negative, you can change them, and your behavior never has to be negative. There is always a powerful way to do the right thing. There's never a right way to do the wrong thing. The inUpowers podcast will help you identify your emotions, understand and have real life tangible opportunities. And as you learn the characters, U-BE, WAM, and the rest of them, you will get to know how I got them and how they were created and some of the principles behind them. But you will also recognize that you don't need to have a WAM moment and you need U-BE. You might need a different character because they're all interchangeable. Because we all need different things at different times. And I would like you to think, if you're having a what about me moment this week, check yourself. What are you missing? What is that warning? And instead of getting justice or making it right or being sure that you fill your void, why don't you sit and ask why? Why am I having a what about me moment? I feel forgotten. Why do I feel forgotten? Well, because I don't feel like they're paying much attention to me because I'm doing all this work, but I'm not getting any attention. Why? Well, because I feel all that all the time. Why? Go to why until you can't ask why anymore. When you recognize the warnings and ask why, you can actually change your tomorrows because you are absolutely in control of your tomorrows. Welcome to the inUpowers podcast. We will be coming to you every Monday, and we will be teaching you about your emotions, about the program. We'll be introducing you to a guest starting next week, and we will continue to talk about real life. And know that emotions are information and behaviors a choice. And you are brilliantly made to be great, and we are super grateful you're with us. Talk to you next time. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the inUpowers podcast. We are grateful you are here. Please share this podcast with those you know who might need it, and follow and rate us so we can continue providing this podcast to you. Follow us on social media to see more visuals about the inUpowers. And join us next week for another episode. Until then, remember The power to choose is in you.